Welcome back to Snetterton then. It is Thundersport GB. Next up, the Morello Services GP1s and the Superstock 1000s and the Super Twins as well. And there's number 46, Greg Lewis. Fantastic performances already this weekend. Yes, good afternoon to you, Greg. And let's hope the weather stays a little kinder for this lot. There's Ian Mackman, number 30, the Stock 1000. And there, Alex Heaton, 111 on the big Ducati. And the outside of that front row, the BMW of Phil Crowe. Phil had got away well in the earlier race, but was overhauled and eventually overtaken by Peter Baker. Peter will be starting on the second row of the grid, but once again, the clouds gathering in the background. You can see by the flags that the wind is still whipping across here, and that ensures that the weather, whether it's good, bad, whatever, is very, very changeable as they get away from the start and down into Ritchie's for the first time. Ian Mackman lining up there. Greg Lewis is up there as well. And Peter Baker at the moment, I think in about 6th place off the second row, but ducking down the inside at Ritchie's, Steve, and up into Montreal, and that's quite an unusual start from him. And looks as though, well, look at him, he's absolutely storming along. He's up into 3rd, could it be 2nd?
Yes, great stuff there from Pete Baker, number 2, and Mike Robertson has got himself up into the lead. So unlike race 1, Phil Crowe not able to get the whole shot this time. And, well, rather than leading from the front, he's now got to do all the chasing. Ian Mackman just tucked in behind him, and then it's Alex Heaton. 3 races in 1 effectively here. You have the Superstock 1000s as well as the Super Twins. They all score GP1 points in what is a power bike class effectively. And Peter Baker then getting up into the lead there, Robin, as they make their way out of Nelson. He's just up ahead of Michael Robertson and Phil Crowe looking up the inside.
Yes, Phil running up the inside through the bomb hole and on to Cora. Michael Robertson, a pal of Paul Wissard, of course. The 2 of them coming down to race below the border this year. They know everything about racing in Scotland, but they're learning these circuits down here as they go. And they've both been incredibly impressive in their particular championships. And Michael Robertson right up the sharp end, and he's in there with some very, very experienced riders, not the least of whom is another Stock 1000, that of Ian Mackman.
He's just slipstream Phil Crowe, of all people, on a Superstock bike down the centre straight there. And Robertson, who's sponsored by Carney's Auto Centre from Dander Hall in Edinburgh, really is a talent to look out for in the future. And he's being followed by another talent, but slightly more experienced, Ian Mackman, Kental Suzuki rider, who's back after his TT duties. And a welcome return. He still leads the championship, but Phil Crowe up the inside of Peter Baker then. And
Peter immediately, trying to get back at him, and Phil Crowe, well, it looked as though there was a huge twitch. He almost became unseated there, but stays on board, and Crowe just gives it a bit more beef going down into Oggies and creates that little bit of a gap now as he comes out onto the Bentley Straight.
Yeah, there's Phil Crowe then that leads, defending GP1 champion, just ahead of the 2009 GP1 champion. And when Baker won that title, Crowe finished 4th in the championship and was, well, what you could call a rookie at the GP1 level. But now he's learned all the trade and is a fantastic rider. There's Ian Mackman getting himself up ahead of Michael Robertson for the Superstock class. And then just behind them is the Night Road Racing Ducati of Alex Heaton.
Yes, Alex, looking incredibly racy this weekend. It's, I think it's his birthday, if not today, then tomorrow, and it was certainly his mother's birthday yesterday. So happy birthday to Alex's mum, Karen, I think.
Yep, and well, Alex has certainly got plenty of life left in him in this GP1 class. He's been learning all the way through the season. Of course, jumped from a GP2 bike last year, where he finished 2nd to Alex Hutchinson, and onto this Ducati 1098, and really 1198 should I say, and really has done very well on it. A little bit further back there's Jason Bayard, number 76.
Yes, he's just behind Dave Twyford at, up the front. Well, look at this, Peter Baker has now got right up with Phil Crowe and nicked past yet again, so it's all changed. The 2 of them absolutely together going through Brundle and Nelson, and behind this lovely little battle between Michael Robertson, Ian Mackman and Alex Heaton.
Not such good news for the rider from Wrexham, Angelo De Rosa. Unfortunately, a 10-second jump start penalty for him. That'll push him, well, not quite outside the top 10, but it will certainly push him. Well, I don't actually think it's going to change much. He's currently just behind Greg Lewis in 8th position. But meanwhile, the battle for the Superstocks goes on. Michael Robertson fending off Ian Mackman, and Alex Heaton just waiting in the wings.
Yeah, shame for Angelo De Rosa. I know he's supported by Olympic labels this weekend. I think they've got a few of their people here to watch him race, so shame about the start, but it's a good battle here between Peter Baker and Phil Crowe as they run towards Ritchie's.
Scott Adams out of this race, the night road racer, so that means that Lee Reevely's leading the Super Twins on his own. Charlie Flett once again in second.
It's Charlie Flett trying to get out of the way of the leading bunch there. There we see Angelo De Rosa at the moment, on the road anyway, ahead of Greg Lewis, but of course the penalty will drop him back.
Yes, it'll drop him back into the clutches of Jamie Wilkins, who's currently in 9th position. And Jamie won't be aware of that either, so Jamie would need to push hard to hold on to 8th overall, otherwise he will be pushed down to 9th. There is the battle for the Superstocks. This is for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Still Robertson ahead of Mackman. Heaton thought about a look up the inside into the bomb hole, but wasn't anywhere near close enough there.
Yeah, he was certainly giving it the try, wasn't he? Getting a bit of a shake on, but well, now, is Ian Mackman? I thought he was going to have a look around the outside there on the run.
Heaton is. Oh,
goodness me. And up the curbs goes Alex Heaton. Still can't find a way through. It is a superb battle, this, and one of this lot, at the moment, ought to be scheduled for the 3rd podium place. We'll see. Last lap flag is out. There's Greg Lewis. Well, he's fought his way ahead of Angelo De Rosa, so Greg moves up into 7th place.
Yeah, these two just behind Byron Beckett, who of course finished 3rd in race 1, but struggling to keep up with these guys at the front. There's number 18, that's Tom Webb, a little bit further down. But at the front, Peter Baker, well, he's been waiting all season long for that race win, and the Morello Services rider is going to get 2 on the trot because the Whole Beach Tide sponsored defending champion Phil Crowe has given up now and is going to hold on for 2nd.
Yep, Baker there. That's immaculate Suzuki out around Coram for the last time in this Morello Services GP1 Superstock 1000 and Super Twin race. He comes down into Murray's, and this has been a day to remember for Peter Baker. This certainly gets his season back on track, and well, the potential is there. Another championship is potentially up for grabs. Look at that checkered flag. Peter Baker, I think a sigh of relief and then a little bit of exultation there. He will be very pleased with the job well done. He takes the win overall. From Phil Crowe, Michael Robertson was 3rd, Ian Mackman 4th, Alex Heaton 5th, and Byron Beckett was 6th. There we see Peter Baker, Phil Crowe, and Michael Robertson on the podium. And in the point standings, well, Phil Crowe still leads it from Ian Mackman, but Peter Baker will help his cause. He moves up to 3rd ahead of Michael Robertson, Alex Heaton and Greg Lewis. And then in the stocks we have Michael Robertson, the winner, from Ian Mackman and Alex Heaton. And in their standings, Mackman leads from Heaton, Michael Robertson 3rd, Angelo De Rosa 4th, Jamie Wilkins 5th and Chris Barnes 6th. And finally, in the Super Twins, well, the win going to Lee Reevely from Charlie Flett. Lee Reevely leads those standings from Scott Adam, Charlie Flett, Les Liney, Lee Powell and Joe Morris.